Now that we have talked about a little bit about the conditionals and the loops, we are ready to go into the operators and we'll go into the details of it. So operators are simple, and you might be thinking that I always say simple because yes, programming is simple. So we are gonna talk about the operators. And most basically the operators are of three types. So let me bring up my playground and move on to the full screen first of all, sliding it a little bit. And basically the operators are of three types, and that's purely a terminological thing. We call it unary operators, binary, and the ternary operators. Unary works on a single element, binary, as the name suggests, works on 2, and ternary 3. Okay, so what are the basic operations that you can perform? So you already are familiar with the basic operations. So for example, if I call it a score is equals to 10, so that means I'm using an operator here. The operator here is the assignment operator, the equal sign. And yes, this is perfectly good, perfectly valid. And I can do a comparison, I can do assignment all of that. So let's just say, for example, if I just choose my score and I put my score value is equals to score, that means I'm assigning the already assigned score value into the my score. So this is simple also, pretty simple I would say. So we are already familiar with the simple assignment operator. We do have a couple of type of more assignments out there. So for example, let's just say I assign more values of, let's just say, A and B. So notice I'm using a pair of parentheses, so I'll be using pair of parentheses to assign the values, for example 3 and 6 here. That is also valid. But this is going to be a talk for another topic, because right now this is known as the tuples. So we'll discuss the tuples later on. And if I just get the value of A, oops, not the array, the A, and it gives me 3, and obviously the B is gonna give me the 6. So this is valid, perfectly okay, but this is tuples, and we'll talk about the tuples later on. Now moving on with that, this is the simple assignment operator. We do have some arithmetic operations here as well. For example, I can do A plus B, and again I would like to remind you of one very important concept with the Swift. So as I do A plus B, notice it works good, it gives me 9, but be consistent with the spaces. Either give the spaces or don't give them. For example, I cannot do something like this. This is not at all acceptable in the C and gives an error. It says be consistent with your spaces. For example, I need to put a plus sign space here as well. So this is a perfectly valid code out here. Okay. Apart from this, we do have operations like B minus A, which is again gonna be pretty good, and pretty common one like B times, oops, let's put a space, B times A. So this is good as well. It gives us everything just like what we accepted, and we can also use A divided by B as well. And there we go. This is again a good out there, good operation that we can have. And we can also replace it by, let's just say, B by A as well. So it depends what you want to divide and how you want to divide it. That's also valid. But there is a new person out there that is known as the remainder operator. Some call it as modulus, but simply our Swift likes to call it as simply remainder operator. For example, if I replace 3 and 6, I replace it with, let's just say, for example, 5. So obviously when we divide it, it gives me 1, but this 1 is actually 5 times that how many times is being made the division. It doesn't give us what the remainder is, and coincidentally in this case the remainder is also 1. So if you want to specifically get the remainder of the value, then the operator is really simple. For example, let's just do it here. Let's just say 9 modulus 4. You may call it modulus or remainder operator, and again coincidentally that's again 1. So this is, but this time it's giving us remainder because we can see 4 2 times is gonna be the result. And if I do a 9 divided by 4, it gives me 2. So this is the remainder operator. Pretty common operation that we have studied so far, assignments and arithmetic, and you might be already familiar with them. Now here is the important thing that I would like to give it to you. Now I have seen many times that coders use the priority of the operations and they do something like this, 4 times 2 add 1. I consider this as a bad programming or bad habit, because it creates confusion whether it should be 2 plus 1 or 4 into 2 first or what like that. And you have to study another topic to get rid of this confusion, which is the priority order of the operations. And I just say, why to create a confusion like that? If you want to do an operation, use the parenthesis. That's the simplest possible way. Like for example, just this parenthesis, it's clear up the clutter, because obviously we know this is going to perform first, and then whatever the answer is, we are going to add 1 to it. So that's one thing I want to create. Now, as I talked in the first time, there are three kind of operations: unary, binary, and the ternary. We have so far seen the binary operations like here. And for example, let's just say score is 10 here, and I want to perform any kind of unary operation on it. And you might be thinking, what could have been the example of unary operator? It's really simple. Let's just say let minus score equals, and now we are going to perform a minus operation here. So this is simply the unary operator. You have seen example of unary. Rarely used, but sometimes they are used. So this is all about it. Okay, so this is all what we have seen, and we do have some compound assignment operation as well. Like for example, here we can see the score is 10. Here we have seen the my score is 10 is score, and just like that. But we can perform things like that. For example, let's just say any is gonna be equal to 2, and now I want to assign something more to it in any. So I'll say any, and I can say there are a lot of operations. You'll see that plus equals, and let's just say 3. So what it does, it takes the existing 2 and adds 3 to it, and we can see the result is 5 here. So that's a good out here. And you just like plus equals, you can use the compound operations like minus equal, the multiply equal, the remainder equal. Possibilities are many, and you got the idea what I wanted to call upon that. Okay, so this is the basic idea, and in the next movie we are going to talk about the comparison operator, and in that we'll take a little bit help of our if and else. So let's move on.